Today I'm showing you 6 ridiculously simple and tasty treats that will make you look like a holiday hero. These are the no-bake, no-stress, last-minute lifesavers you've been looking for. So forget the complicated recipes and the mountains of dishes. This is all about maximum festive impact with minimum effort. So let's jump right in and get started. Welcome everyone, my name is Lisa and we are going to get right into these easy Christmas treats. Everyone is sure to love these. This first recipe is an easy 3-ingredient Biscoff truffle. You can screenshot those ingredients so you have them when you're making your shopping list, but you need an 8.8 ounce package of Lotus Biscoff cookies, 6 ounces of cream cheese that is softened to room temperature, and 10 ounces of Ghirardelli white chocolate chips. The recipe I found called for using a food processor. I do not have a food processor, so I used my blender. I put the entire package of cookies into the blender and pulsed it until they were all finely ground. Then you add in your 6 ounces of cream cheese that has been softened to room temperature. Once again, I just pulsed that until the cookie crumbs and the cream cheese were blended. Be sure you scrape down the sides to make sure that the cream cheese gets incorporated into the cookie crumbs. Biscoff cookie and cream cheese mixture will be completely incorporated and blended when it forms a soft dough. To make this easier, I am using a cookie scoop. This is my hack anytime you need to make or form cake or cookie balls with your recipe for your desserts. I scoop them out first onto a wax paper lined cookie sheet. Once I have them all scooped and on the cookie sheet, I go back in and then lightly roll your cookie balls into a uniform shape. The dough gets really sticky on your hands. That's why I like to wear gloves. I feel like they roll better this way. After you have all of your small balls formed, place your cookie sheet in the refrigerator and chill it for about 30 minutes. Once the 30 minutes is almost up, transfer your white chocolate chips into a small microwave-safe bowl. I add in a teaspoon of unflavored coconut oil. By adding the coconut oil to your melted chocolate, it makes it smoother, thinner, and easier to work with when you are dipping or drizzling. You will then microwave your white chocolate for 30 seconds, then stir. Put it back in the microwave for 15-second increments, stirring after each until the chocolate is smooth and melted. Remove your cookie balls from the refrigerator. You can use 2 forks, or I have these little dipping prongs. Dip each of the rolled and chilled balls into the white chocolate. Allow the excess to drip off. Return it to your lined baking sheet. And then sprinkle with your topping of choice. I chose some golden sprinkles so that they would be fun and festive but elegant for the holidays. You want to be sure that you add any sprinkles after dipping so that they adhere to the chocolate while it's still wet. If you wait too long, your chocolate will harden and the sprinkles will not stick. This is a super easy but tasty treat you can make any time of the year. They are especially nice right now for the Christmas holidays. These are simple to take to parties. You could even put them on a stick, making larger cake pop type desserts. They do have that cream cheese in them, so you do want to make sure that they are stored in the refrigerator until you're ready to serve. You could try other variations by dipping them in dark or milk chocolate. You can use brightly colored sprinkles. You could even reserve some of the crushed up Biscoff cookie crumbs and sprinkle those on top. What other variations can you think of for these super easy 3-ingredient Biscoff truffles? Let us know in the comments. Second no bake, no stress, super tasty treat is this caramel pretzel peanut crockpot candy. It's a mouthful to say, but it's so simple and easy to make. This recipe calls for 12 ounces of dark chocolate, 12 ounces white chocolate, 1/4 cup peanut butter, 16 ounces of dry roasted peanuts, 3/4 cup caramel bits. This is going to be about half of an 11-ounce package, and 3/4 cup of broken pretzels. You're simply going to add your white and dark chocolate chips to your crock pot in addition to your dry roasted peanuts. Turn that crock pot on low. Cover it with a towel and then put the lid on. You want to be sure and use that towel because it absorbs any condensation, preventing water droplets from falling into your chocolate and causing it to seize. Set a timer for 30 minutes. Once that timer goes off, you're going to want to stir your chocolate and peanut mixture. I have a standard 2-quart crock pot and my chocolate was melted after the 30 minutes. If you still have chunks of chocolate in your mixture after stirring it, then replace the towel and lid and let it continue to melt on low, checking it in 5 to 10 minute increments, making sure you don't let it overheat and scorch and burn onto the bottom of your crock pot. Once your chocolate is melted and stirred in with the peanuts, you will add your creamy peanut butter, followed by your caramel bits and your pretzels. Be sure to stir each in between so that it is incorporated into the mixture. You are going to love having these little caramel bits in the candy. They give it a really nice chewy texture when it's all set up and done. For the pretzels, I broke those into smaller pieces. I used the pretzel twist and then with clean hands just busted them up. You could also put them into a Ziploc bag and beat them with a rolling pin to get smaller pieces. Other variations that you could try is to use a different nut butter besides peanut butter and different nuts besides the peanuts. You could try cashews, walnuts, pecans, or almonds. I would suggest chopping those into smaller bite-sized pieces. Once all of your ingredients are incorporated and mixed, be sure you turn your crock pot off and then with a tablespoon, scoop out the candy onto wax paper. Mine were about a tablespoon each. You can make them any size that you like. I also chose to sprinkle them with some Festive red, green, and white sprinkles. You want to add your sprinkles while your chocolate is still wet so that they stick to the chocolate. So I scooped a few candies and then sprinkled them and then continued to scoop and sprinkle until I was done with the entire candy mix. You will see here it will yield several dozen candies. I let these set up until they were hardened. It took it a couple of hours. Once they were done, I plated them up. You could put these in a pretty tin. You could individually wrap them in candy paper. So many different ways. These are perfect candy to serve at parties or to give away as gifts. Everything I made for this video was so good, but I think these white chocolate coconut crunch cups are my absolute favorite. They only require 4 ingredients and you might already even have all of this in your pantry. I do also recommend a silicone mini muffin pan. This recipe calls for 1 1/4 cup of white chocolate chips, 1 teaspoon of unflavored coconut oil, half a cup of crispy rice cereal, and half a cup of shredded coconut. Combine your white chocolate chips with your coconut oil in a microwave-safe bowl. You want to microwave your white chocolate in 20-second increments, stirring in between until your chocolate is melted and smooth. After you have your white chocolate completely melted, you're going to add in your crispy rice cereal and your coconut. You want to be sure and stir it all together, making sure all of the crispy rice cereal and shredded coconut are coated and covered in the white chocolate. Immediately drop tablespoons of your candy into your silicone mini muffin pan. I am using a small cookie scoop to make this easier. If you don't have a silicone muffin pan, then you can use a paper-lined muffin tin. You could also drop these by tablespoonfuls onto wax paper. These turned out to be a very rich candy, so I suggest keeping them to the tablespoon serving size. I want to add some festive Christmas sprinkles on top of my coconut clusters. You want to be sure and do this while your chocolate is still wet, otherwise your sprinkles will not stick. You want to let this sit at room temperature until it is set. It'll take about an hour. The silicone muffin tin makes this so easy to just pop the candy out. You could individually wrap these, you could plate them, or you could serve them in a tin or a nice container if you wanted to give them as a gift. I told you at the beginning these were going to be the easiest no-bake recipes, and I did not lie. You cannot get much simpler than melting chocolate and adding ingredients. These recipes will definitely be a hit, but they will also help take the stress out of your holiday entertaining and gift giving. You do not have to be a baker or a cake decorator to make these easy and festive chocolate cake Santa hats and Christmas trees. These are going to start with your favorite chocolate cake mix from a box. Bake it according to the directions on the box in 2 8-inch round cake pans. Of course, you can always make your own cake from scratch, but we are going for a quick, simple, and easy today. To decorate the Christmas trees and Santa hats, pick up this cupcake icing at Walmart. Get white, red, and green. They come with the little tips already in the package. It's all there, easy and simple. I am also going to be using some white and gold sprinkles. These are completely optional. You don't have to add these. You could use your icing to embellish your cake. Once your cake is cool, you cut it into 8 triangles and then push it apart on your plate. Hindsight, I wish I had done this on a different platter and then transferred the wedges to this plate. Then my plate would have been a little bit cleaner, but I am learning right along with you and making the mistakes so you don't have to. Another suggestion I have for you when working with this cupcake icing, test it out on a separate surface like a plate or paper towel when you are first using the tube, because it does come out a little runny at first. So you want to dispel that from the icing before you start decorating your chocolate cake. The cupcake icing comes with 4 different tips to it. I am using the star tip and just going back and forth as you see here across the cake. I'm leaving a little bit of space at the top and bottom of my triangle. This is where I'm going to come back in with the white star tip and add the fur on Santa's hat and the pom-pom on the top. An alternative to the chocolate cake, you could obviously use a different flavor. You could use a white cake mix or even brownies. I think this would be so good on a brownie. You just bake it in a round pan and still cut it apart like I have done the chocolate cake. To decorate your Christmas tree cake triangles, I'm going to repeat the process with that star tip going back and forth across my cake all the way down with the green cupcake icing. To make my display look extra festive and merry, I'm going to alternate the Santa hats and the Christmas tree. This is going to give it an extra fun look to the presentation, and it's going to trick your friends into thinking that you are a gourmet baker and cake decorator. I had picked up these sugar Christmas light bulbs at Target and am adding those on the top of the tree in lieu of a star. If you could find some gold stars, that would be really pretty. This is where I'm coming back in with 2 different sizes of white sprinkles and putting them on as ornaments on my Christmas tree. If you don't want to purchase or don't have these sprinkles, you could make little colored balls with your icing. There is a small tip included that would make just a little tiny bead of icing, so that would work perfect for the ornaments. I think this could be a fun Christmas activity to do with your kids or grandkids. Super easy. They could decorate their Christmas tree and Santa hat any way they wanted. I added a large gold candy ball on the top of the Santa hats, and if I did it again, I would leave that off. It wasn't bad. It just ended up, I didn't like it. What other fun Christmas shapes do you think you could make out of this chocolate cake wedge? Let me know in the comments. Y'all always have the best ideas, and I would love to hear them. The next easy Christmas treat I'm sharing with you is this white chocolate and caramel pretzels recipe. It has minimal ingredients. I chose these gluten-free Snyder's pretzels, but you can use any mini twisted pretzel. You're going to also need 11 ounces of white chocolate chips and an 11-ounce package of Kraft caramels unwrapped. I'm also adding 2 tablespoons of water. That's going to go into your caramels, which need to be in a microwave safe bowl. Place your caramels in the microwave, heat them for 1 minute, stir them, and incorporate that water into the caramels. Be sure to use caution when you're heating up the caramels because they do get very hot. If all of the caramels are not melted, put them back into the microwave for 20-second increments until the caramel is melted and smooth. Once you have all of your caramels melted, you're going to work in like an assembly line. You're going to take each pretzel one by one, dip half of the pretzel into the melted caramel, and then lay it out on a piece of wax paper, either on your counter or in a wax paper lined cookie sheet like I'm doing here. When I make these, again, I think I'm going to go ahead and spray my wax paper with some Pam No Stick cooking spray. I did have some of the caramel pretzels stick to the wax paper, so I think spraying it will help prevent that from happening when I make these in the future. I got between 4 and 5 dozen pretzels using up all of my caramel. Once you have them all dipped, set those aside and allow them to cool for an hour. Once they are cool, you're going to want to melt your chocolate in the microwave. I did not add in the coconut oil this time. I did not want my chocolate to dry and harden too quickly so that I would have more time to work. Again, in an assembly line process, I melted my chocolate in 30-second increments until it was smooth. I then dipped the same half of the pretzel that had the caramel on it into the white chocolate, and then I immediately sprinkled it with Festive red and green sprinkles. You're going to want to make sure you add those sprinkles while your chocolate is still wet or they won't stick to your chocolate. Lay your dipped pretzels back out onto a clean sheet of wax paper. And try not to make as big of a mess as I was doing here today. It gets that way sometimes, doesn't it? I used a variety of different sprinkles and colors to make my pretzels fun and festive. These are a great gift that you can package up and give away. They're also great little snacks to keep around for family and friends. I thought these were so delicious. I had a hard time staying out of them. What other variations on this can you think of? I think that they would be good dipped in milk chocolate. You could even dip them in milk chocolate and then peanuts. That would be so good. Let me know your thoughts and ideas on other ways to make these pretzels. If you love a sweet and salty treat, you are definitely going to want to make these Ritz and peanut butter cup snacks. All you need are Ritz crackers and Reese's peanut butter cup thins. I have seen these where you spread your own peanut butter on the crackers and then dip them in chocolate. But today we are going for the easiest snacks and treats for Christmas, and sometimes even spreading that peanut butter and dipping them in chocolate is too much work for our busy holiday schedules. So we are going to make our little treats like this today. Make as many or as little as you want. Lay out the number of crackers in a single layer on a baking sheet. Then unwrap your Reese's Thins and place one on top of each cracker. You're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for 1 to 2 minutes. You want the chocolate soft but not completely melted. You're then going to pull your cookie sheet out of the oven. Immediately place another Ritz cracker on top of each of the melted Reese's peanut butter cup thins, making it into a sandwich. You want to give just enough pressure to melt those two crackers together onto that Reese's thin. And that's it. That's all you need to make the sweet and salty snack. Which one of these 6 incredibly easy, totally delicious, almost no-bake Christmas treats was your favorite? These are recipes that any one of you can make. You can whip it up at the last minute. You don't need to be a pro baker or have hours of free time to make something special for the holidays. Sometimes the simplest recipes made with a little bit of holiday cheer are the ones that everybody loves the most. And you are now officially ready to be a last-minute holiday hero. Let me know if you have a last-minute go-to recipe that saves you every time. Drop it down in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I always appreciate when you hit that thumbs up and hype the video. If you haven't already subscribed and joined our little Uniquely Lisa family here, I invite you to do so. I have more coming your way as we head into the holidays, and I can't wait to see you in that next video. So until then, have a wonderful, delicious, and very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.